Think about the last time you scrolled through social media, that entrepreneur celebrating their company's success, the writer announcing their book deal, that fitness transformation that seemed impossible. What was your first thought? If you're like most people, it wasn't, "I could do that too." It was probably closer to, "I could never do that." I used to say those exact words to myself constantly, watching others achieve their dreams while I sat on the sidelines, creating a mental list of all the reasons their success could never be my story. They must have connections I don't have. They probably have natural talent I wasn't born with. They're just luckier than me. Sound familiar? These thoughts don't just cross our minds. They build permanent homes there. They become the voice that holds us back every time opportunity knocks. But everything changed for me when I discovered the simplest yet most powerful question I've ever asked myself. 3 small words that dismantled every excuse I'd ever made. 3 words that have transformed not just my life, but countless others I've shared them with. Today, I'm passing this question to you, because I believe it can change your life just like it changed mine. That question is, why not me? Let's be honest, we all do it. We look at other people's success and immediately start calculating all the reasons why we don't measure up. I remember watching a speaker at a conference a few years ago. The room was packed, everyone was hanging on her every word, and she made it look so effortless, so natural. And there I was, sitting in the audience thinking, I could never do that. I'm not charismatic enough. I don't have enough expertise. People wouldn't take me seriously. I was creating a story about why her success couldn't be my success, and I bet you've done the same thing. She got that promotion because she went to a better school than me. He built a successful business because he had family money to start with. They're in amazing shape because they probably have great genetics. They wrote a book because they have natural talent that I don't have. We attribute other people's achievements to things we believe we lack, things we think we can't change or acquire. And in doing so, we give ourselves permission to stay exactly where we are. But what if we flip this thinking completely? What if, instead of asking why them, logically, we started asking why not me? Why not me is not about comparing yourself to others. It's about challenging the limitations you've placed on yourself. When you ask why not me, logically, you're really asking, what if the barriers I see aren't actually real? What if I'm capable of more than I've allowed myself to believe? What if the only thing holding me back is my own self-imposed limitations? This question forces you to examine your excuses, to look at them under a harsh light and recognize them for what they often are: fear disguised as reason. Why not me? Doesn't guarantee success. It doesn't promise that everything will be easy, but it opens the door to possibility that was previously shut tight. We all have stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're capable of. These stories are shaped by our past experiences, our failures, the words others have spoken over us, and the conclusions we've drawn from it all. I'm not a math person. I'm too old to start something new. I'm not disciplined enough. I'm not creative. I'm just not cut out for leadership. These stories feel true because we've repeated them to ourselves so many times. We've gathered evidence to support them. We've made them part of our identity. But here's what's fascinating. They're just stories. They're not facts. And stories can be rewritten. When you ask yourself, why not me? Logically, you begin the process of rewriting these limiting narratives. Instead of, I'm not a math person, you might ask, why couldn't I learn this if I approached it differently? Instead of, I'm too old, you might ask, why couldn't I be the person who proves age is just a number? Instead of, I'm not creative, you might ask, why couldn't I develop my creativity with practice? Suddenly, what seemed fixed becomes flexible. What seemed impossible becomes, well, possible. Here's something that might surprise you. Those people you admire, the ones who seem to have it all figured out, they have doubts too. They have insecurities. They have moments where they wonder if they're good enough. Success doesn't eliminate self-doubt. It doesn't banish fear. Even the people at the top of their game still hear those negative voices in their heads sometimes. The difference isn't that successful people never feel inadequate. The difference is that they don't let those feelings stop them. I once had the chance to speak with someone I deeply admired, someone who had achieved exactly the kind of success I dreamed of. And do you know what they told me? I still feel like an imposter sometimes. I still worry that one day everyone will realize I don't know what I'm doing. I was shocked. In my mind, this person was the definition of confidence and competence. It never occurred to me that they might be battling the same insecurities I was. That conversation taught me something important. Waiting to feel completely confident before taking action is a recipe for never taking action at all. We often think that confidence comes first and action follows. Once I feel ready, then I'll apply for that job. Once I feel sure of myself, then I'll speak up in meetings. Once I feel like I know enough, then I'll start that project. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. Every time you do something that scares you, you prove to yourself that you can do hard things. You build evidence that challenges your limiting stories. You develop confidence through experience. This is why asking, "Why not me?" is so powerful. It doesn't require you to feel ready. It doesn't ask you to be fearless. It just invites you to consider the possibility and take one small step forward. And that one small step leads to another. And another. And before long, you find yourself doing things you once thought were impossible for someone like you. Let's talk about the excuses we make. Because we all make them. And they're incredibly persuasive. I don't have time. I don't have the right connections. The timing isn't right. I need more education first. The market is too competitive. I've tried before and failed. These excuses feel legitimate. They feel reasonable. And sometimes they do contain elements of truth. Yes, you might be busy. Yes, connections can help. Yes, timing matters. Yes, education has value. Yes, competition exists. Yes, past failures hurt. But here's the hard truth. For every excuse you have, there's someone out there who faced the same obstacle and found a way through it or around it. There are successful people who started with no connections. There are successful people who built their dreams in tiny pockets of time. There are successful people who didn't finish school. There are successful people who entered crowded markets. There are successful people who failed repeatedly before they succeeded. When you ask, "Why not me?" logically, you're challenging yourself to find solutions rather than excuses. You're shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Fear will always be part of the equation. Always. If you're waiting for the fear to go away before you take action, you'll be waiting forever. The key is not to eliminate fear, but to act despite it. Feel the fear of rejection and send that application anyway. Feel the fear of judgment and share your work anyway. Feel the fear of failure and take that risk anyway. When you ask, "Why not me?" logically, you're not saying the path will be fearless. You're saying that fear doesn't get to make your decisions for you anymore. I still remember the first time I had to speak in front of a large audience. My heart was racing. My hands were shaking. Every instinct was telling me to run in the opposite direction. But in that moment, I asked myself, why not me? Why couldn't I be someone who speaks confidently? Why couldn't I share my message effectively? Why couldn't I connect with this audience? I didn't magically become fearless, but that question gave me just enough courage to step onto the stage. And once I was there, I discovered I was capable of more than I thought. The hardest part of any journey is often the first step. Inertia is powerful. It's easier to stay where you are than to move in a new direction. This is why so many dreams remain dreams. This is why so many goals remain unaccomplished. Not because they're impossible, but because the first step feels too daunting. Why not me? Cuts through that inertia. It challenges the status quo. It makes staying still feel more uncomfortable than moving forward. The first step doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be a step. Maybe it's sending an email to someone you admire asking for advice. Maybe it's signing up for a class to develop a new skill. Maybe it's telling someone about your goal, making it real by speaking it aloud. Maybe it's spending just 15 minutes a day working toward your dream. Whatever that first step is for you, take it, and then take another. And another. Why not me? Is ultimately a question about possibility, about refusing to accept artificial limitations, about giving yourself permission to want more and to believe you deserve more. It's a question that acknowledges your unique journey, your unique strengths, your unique perspective. No, you may not have the exact same path as someone else. You may have different challenges, different starting points, different resources, but that doesn't mean you can't create your own version of success. It doesn't mean you can't achieve things that matter to you. It doesn't mean you can't build a life that fills you with purpose and satisfaction. Why not me? Reminds you that the qualities you admire in others, courage, persistence, creativity, resilience, these aren't qualities you either have or don't have. They're qualities you can develop with practice. Here's your challenge. The next time you think, I could never do that, stop and ask, why not me? Make it your mantra. Put it on your mirror, your phone, your heart, because when you truly consider that question, something shifts. The walls you thought were permanent start to crack. This won't make life easy, but it will make you powerful. You'll stop holding yourself back and start stepping into possibility. So ask yourself right now, why not you? Why not your story? Why not your dream? You're more capable than you believe. The only thing missing is your decision to begin.